the exchange rate fluctuate over time. So there is long term exchange rate, medium term exchange rate, and even this short term exchange rates. Okay, now with your permission, let me just switch on some of your videos also. Some of your videos also. Fluctuations over time. Vicky Anthony, Ashwin. Now let's look at the exchange rate fluctuations over time. Long term exchange rate. In the long run, what will happen to the exchange rate? It is decided by purchasing power parity theorem. Indian rupee got more purchasing power than US dollar. The other day I was discussing this, okay? What we were telling was, let's say you go to a restaurant, let's say 5-star restaurant. A buffet will cost you, let's say, 750 rupees. You will get the best lunch equal to 10 US dollar as per today's exchange rate. At exchange rate of 75, this 5-star lunch is 10 US dollar. But you will not get the same food in the United States. You need to spend at least 25 US dollar. So 750 Indian rupees equal to 25 US dollar in purchasing power parity terms. So as per this, what should be the exchange rate? The exchange rate should be 750 divided by 25 US dollar. As per purchasing power parity, Indian rupee should quote at 30 in the long run. Everything is expensive. A coffee will cost, let's say, 200 rupee equivalent in United States. So there is an interesting study actually about the purchasing power parity, about the standard of living, how expensive is different countries. So economists have come up with an index. So the economic theory behind this purchasing power parity is saying that in the long run, the real price is what? The price without inflation. Real price should be same. If you have an apple, the price of the apple should be same across countries. The exchange rate will adjust accordingly unless or until purchasing power parity is achieved. Now the issue is how to come up with the same product. Take the case of an apple, fruit. The shape, content, color, everything differs between countries. There is no identical product. So economists have conducted a study based on McDonald's Big Mac burger. The same burger across countries. So based on that, they will say, okay, this burger, how much price in Switzerland? That is one of the expensive country. And based on that, they compare the purchasing power of different countries. So you can search internet and find out more if you are interested. So for our purpose, what do you have to say? Like what I discussed about the lunch, Indian rupee will adjust towards purchasing power parity. In the real world, exchange rate do not reflect purchasing power parity. It is an assumption or an expectation that it will be moving towards that. Remember, a lot of factors are in place. Inflation is there, your interest rate, your trade flows, everything is relevant. In the long run, let's say after 10 years, Indian rupee can converge to purchasing power. But there are a lot of other factors which will prevent it. Now, what will happen to the medium term, medium exchange rates? See, if the country is in recession, let's say United States is in recession, what will happen? They will consume less on imported products. They will consume less on Alfonso mangoes, Indian softwares, or let's say basmati rice. When they buy less, what will happen? The demand curve of, not the demand curve, the supply curve. My digital pen is having some trouble since yesterday. Actually, it fell from my hand. So it is not in perfect working condition. Sorry about that. So let's say this is the supply curve. Since they are buying less, what will happen? Supply curve will shift to the left side. There will be less supply of dollar in the market because Americans are buying less products from abroad. They import less. When they import less, what will happen? The supply of dollar in the market, Americans need to give dollar to buy it. It will shift to the left side. So if that is the case, what will happen? Equilibrium value of dollar will increase. Less import means the currency value will increase. If more goods are exported because of an increased preference for US goods, let's say in India, we let's say buy a lot of foreign goods, let's say US based items, then what will happen? The demand curve will shift to the right side. This is our demand curve. Demand D0. This will shift to the right side. More people, more Indians buy American products. If we don't give demand dollar, we cannot get it. So demand for US dollar will be to the right side. So this interaction will affect the exchange rate. Basically, in the medium term, it is affected by the economic activity of the country. What will happen in the short run, short time? In the short term, exchange rates will be dictated by interest rates. The other day I said when we talk about interest rate, make sure that it is which interest rate? Is it nominal or real interest rate? If real interest rate is very good in one country compared to, let's say, United States, Indian interest rates are better in real interest rate terms. If you invest in Indian Treasury bond, you will get 8%. If that is the case, American banks and American institutions, they will invest because in US they will get roughly 3%. So money will flow towards higher interest rate countries when the real rates are, when I say interest rate, it is real rates, real interest. Your nominal interest rate equal real interest rate plus inflation. Previous class lൊന്നും ഇല്ലാത്തവർക്ക് മനസ്സിലാവാൻ വഴിയില്ല. ഇതൊന്നല്ല പലതും. So when interest rate goes up, the money will flow towards that country. More demand for Indian rupee. Reverse will happen when, let's say, US Treasury or US Fed increase the rates. This is mostly closed watched events in financial market. What the Federal Reserve does when they meet last, I think 10 days back, there was a meeting. Everyone will watch about their decision. They will announce their policy rates. If they increase the rate, you will find big movements in the markets. If interest rate in the United States right now it is very close to zero, if it rises next year, you will find money flowing towards United States. But if interest rate is higher because of the inflation, then there is no point. Inflation will kill the value of the currency. Nominal rates will increase when inflation shoot up, or if inflation is going up, your nominal interest rate can go up. Look at the success tip or caution note. Due to exchange rate fluctuation, there are risks involved in the international trade. As a CMA candidate, you will need to be able to identify and be prepared to explain the methods used to mitigate the risk. Additionally, you should be able to analyze the best method to manage the risk with supporting calculations. How you will hedge your FX risk. Now, what are the risks of exchange rate fluctuations? When you do a transaction, let's say, take the case of TCS. TCS got a US order. When they sell it, when they sell some services, they generate what? receivable. They create in their balance sheet, there is an asset account receivable, but that is not in Indian rupee. It is in foreign currency. When the exchange rate changes, the value of the assets changes. The balance sheet is in Indian rupee, right? So there is a fluctuation of value. So, what is the situation? $1 million. Sorry, my digital pen is having a bit trouble actually here. Let's say I am using my hand, okay? This is $1 million. What happened? TCS sold software to a US customer and they generated a receivable. Now, what is the risk of TCS? They have a receivable. If Indian rupee is at 75, let's say currently this is at 75. If it goes up to 80, is there any risk for TCS? It is good for them. If the value of the foreign currency goes up, if US dollar appreciate, it is good for them. Earlier they were supposed to get, let's say, 75 million or 7.5 crore Indian rupee. But if it goes up to 80, they will pocket 8 crores. 50 lakh profit will be there because of the exchange rate movement. But what happens if the rate goes down to 72? Instead of 75 million Indian rupee, they will end up with getting only 72. So what is the risk for a foreign currency receivable? If that foreign currency loses value, your asset will melt because of the exchange rate. That is about TCS. Let's look at Indian Oil. Indian Oil Limited, IOC. Indian Oil Company. Same situation, 1 million at a rate 75. They import crude from Saudi Arabia. Because of the transaction, there is an accounts payable. There is an accounts payable in dollars. What is their risk? Their risk is the liability. They have a liability. If Indian rupee goes up, if the exchange rate goes up to 80. Meaning if Indian currency depreciate, in other words, the receivable which is denominated in dollar, if that dollar appreciates, we will have trouble. Instead of 7.5 crore, Indian Oil Company should pay 8 crore, 80 million Indian rupee. 5 million loss will be there. This is the risk. Okay, so I explained both the receivable and payable. Let's look at the case. A company has transaction exposure. The technical term is you have an exposure. Your balance sheet is exposed to the movement of foreign currency. Your receivable and payable will change value based on the exchange rate. Now what happens? Can you read this? I explain with the TCS case. B 1 and 2. What will happen to the foreign denominator receivable? The risk is the depreciation of the foreign currency. You can write somewhere there, TCS. That's a receivable case. Alright. Now next is Indian Oil, IOC. Here you have a payable case. So if you have a payable, the risk is the risk of Indian currency depreciating. In other words, the foreign currency appreciating. You read C 1 and 2. Alright. Now let's look at the summary. You make a sale, you will generate receivable. Correct? What is the risk? If the foreign currency depreciate, appreciation fine. TCS is not bothered about US dollar appreciation. TCS is worried about US dollar depreciation. Indian currency is getting stronger, then TCS will be in trouble. The opposite is the case for Indian Oil. Now you have a risk. How to hedge it? Hedging, remember we studied derivative. You should create an offset. Whatever loss you are going to encounter should be offset by a derivative based hedging. You can do non-derivative based hedging also. Let's look at the derivative case. So TCS will be losing, let's say, 5 million Indian rupee if the exchange rate moves from 75 to 70. So they have to enter into a transaction. They are long in the contract. Okay, you should know what it is. Remember, when I taught you the derivatives, I specifically said when you study foreign exchange, you will have all this. TCS is long on the underlying, which is the US dollar. They need to hedge, they need to create an offset. They will receive US dollar after some time. So they have to sell it. They have to go on the short side of the derivative transaction. We will see how they do it. If TCS is about to get 1 million after 6 months, $1 million, 6 months, they will not sit idle. Today exchange rate is 75. After 6 months, they don't know. Their treasurer or finance guys will do the hedging, will initiate the hedging. If it goes to 65, big loss. So what they will do? They will be getting $1 million. So they are long on the underlying, which is the US dollar. So they need to do an derivative based transaction in dollars so that when the exchange rate goes to 65, they should get a benefit from the contract. So what they will do, they will go to a bank, let's say Citibank or ICICI Bank. They will enter into a forward transaction. They will enter into a forward contract. Now what is a forward contract? We studied in derivative. They will exchange, let's say US dollar 1 million, they will sell to the bank. They are agreeing to sell the bank, let's say at 74.2 after 6 months. So on expiry, their US dollar account will be debited by 1 million and Indian rupee account will be credited by 74.2 million, 77.42 crores. They already entered into a contract. Remember, forward is like a marriage. You cannot go back. Hope you understand all this. So at the, let's say, end of 6 months, whether it is 64 or 78, doesn't matter. You are locked with an exchange rate so that your FX risk is covered. This is the way they hedge a foreign currency receivable. Now, what is the hedging a foreign currency receivable? When the downside risk is that foreign currency will depreciate by the settlement date. TCS is worried after 6 months if US dollar crack. So they have to hedge. The hedge is to sell foreign currency forward. Sell US dollar. You enter into a forward rate transaction. Let's look at an example. Hedge foreign denominator receivable. You may get as a question, you may get, let's say, MCQs. A US company knows that it will be receiving 5 million pesos in 30 days from the sale of some equipment at one of its facilities in Mexico. US company will get 5 million peso after 30 days. The spot rate is 0.77 and 30 rate forward is 80. So what they will do is, they will not wait, they will enter into a forward rate transaction at 80.80. They will be selling pesos in the forward market at 0.8. They will be selling in 30 days. So the company is assured of a exchange rate. If I am the CFO, I know it. Okay, I will be converting at 0.8. I got some certainty. I get some guarantee. And how much I will get? 5 million into 0.8, which is $4 million in return. Now I entered into transaction. Now, what will happen on the 30th day? Your bank account will be debited by 5 million pesos. Your US dollar account will get a credit of 4 million. But when you look at that particular day exchange rate at the end of 30 days, on that day, what is the spot rate? If it is 0.82, oh, they will think, oh, it was better not to do it. I would have got more money. It was better for the company not to engage in the forward. But imagine if it is not worth the risk. If peso depreciate further, you may be losing. Instead of 0.82, it can be 0.9. But if the exchange rate is not in your favor, you will end up with a lot of risk. To avoid that, you will enter into a hedging transaction. So the banks will give the cover and banks will again do another transaction to offset the risk. Bank also will hedge the transaction. Citibank, after 30 days, they are supposed to sell US dollar and buy peso. They will do the opposite transaction with another bank at a different rate. So they will also hedge their assets and liabilities. Now hedging a foreign denominator payable. The Indian Oil case. What is it? If the payable currency appreciates, we will have trouble. Let's look at another case. A US company know that it will need 100,000 Canadian dollars in 60 days to pay an invoice. So they are short of Canadian dollar. So what they are supposed to do? The firm hedged by purchasing 100,000 Canadian dollar 60-day forward. They will enter into a forward transaction to buy Canadian dollars. So the company is essentially buying a guarantee. You can read, and if you have any doubt, you ask me. The reverse case. Understand the transaction. We are discussing how to hedge a receivable or payable. If you work in a multinational company, yes, you will end up with this situation. Now you can hedge this exposure, foreign exchange exposure, without derivative also. Remember, we studied in derivative, you can hedge without derivative also. Imagine TCS got 100 million receivable in US dollar in United States. They have a receivable. What they can do? They can take a loan. They can create a payable. If they take a loan from United States, 100 million loan also is there. So they are managing receivable and payable. TCS got, let's say they need to pay for an equipment in Japanese yen. 100 million Japanese yen you have to pay. So there is a payable in Japan. So what what they can do is they can tell the marketing people, their sales divisions, to create a receivable in Japanese yen to do more business in Japan so that we hedge. So technically you cannot make it 100%. Maybe 100 million Japanese yen, the firm may be able to do only 60 million. The net is what? Nets, they will see the net. 40 million. Oh, on the 40 million, you can enter into a hedge. So this is what it is, D. You read the D. See, after some time, if you read without all this example, you will have no clue. So you should have a perfect idea what we are discussing here. All right. Now let's look at the questions. let's take page number 238. Eight point three exchange rate systems and calculation. Question number 12. An overvalued foreign currency exchange rate. Did we discuss this? Yeah, this we discussed, okay. 8.4, right? Let me just see, okay, yeah. Yeah, question number 18, correct. I have to look at the correct page. In the text they are saying after discussion, okay. So let's move on. I think they have a slight issue with the digital text and book. Both places they are discussing 9, then only they are saying go to page 240, which is section 18.4, 8.4. So let's continue and do it. Let's continue the class. Let's see this money market hedge, then we will do the problem. Okay. Got it. Tools for mitigating exchange rate risk short term. Money market hedge, very interesting. Let me give a transaction. I need to pay $1 million after 1 year. I am here. So I am an Indian citizen, let's say. I need to pay $1 million after 1 year. I am short of it. I will not do any derivative based transaction. But I can do something called a money market hedge. I am supposed to pay, right? $1 million after 1 year. So I will do one thing. I will borrow in Indian rupee. I will take a loan in Indian rupee and I will convert that today itself to US dollar. But how much? The present value of 1 million. Let me explain. I have a accounts payable which I need to pay after 1 year. Imagine I have Indian rupee, or I can borrow in Indian rupee also, no problem. First I will find I need to invest in a US bond so that after 1 year it will reach 1 million. So the present value of